The Harvest.
Greetings to you all, dear Ifriki FM listeners, and welcome to the latest news from across the continent and across the world. Starting with Algeria, President Abdelmajid Tebboune reaffirms Algeria's reform-driven path rooted in the principles of November 1st, 1954 declaration. Reviewing regional development, the president stresses that Algeria remains a force for stability, declaring that evil will never come from Algeria. He also highlights Algeria's deep fraternal ties with its African neighbors, particularly in the Sahel region. Let's listen to what he said.
دول الساحل كلها دول شقيقة. المالي الشعب المالي شقيق للشعب الجزائري. نفس الشيء بالنسبة للنيجر. بالنسبة للنيجر والمالي في خبثاء جراثيم يدوروا ويحاولوا يخلقوا الفتنة ويسلحوا ويسيلوا الدم كما سيلوا الدم في أماكن أخرى. ما يوصلوش لهذه النتيجة. لأن الشقاء الماليين النيجيريين بروحهم واعيين بالجوار وما دا جاب لهم الجوار وما هي السلبيه تاع الجوار. ما كانش سلبيه حتى يوم ما الجزائر قبلت باش تشرف على اتفاقيه الجزائر العاصمه بطلبين منهم طلب من الامم المتحده ما قبلوش. الله يسهل عليهم باش نجي نفرض عليه انا حل يسيب الحل وحده ورانا هنا. المهم انا ظهره محمي ما دام في الجوار تاعي عمره ما يجيه منه الاذى.
On Libya, President Tebboune reiterates that the crisis can only be resolved through an inclusive Libyan-led internal dialogue, rejecting any foreign interference. Let's hear it.
ليبيا شقيقة، احنا قلوبنا راها تتمزق على ليبيا، وقلتها الإخوان كي المنفي كي غيره، نتمنى احنا باش الحل يكون ليبي ما يتداخلوش فيه. شوف المشكل غير يولي أممي يصعب الحل تاعو. لما تتداخل دول أخرى غير دول معنية مباشرة يصعب الحل، وهذا ما يحاولوا بعض سفاحين الدماء اللي يديرونا في المالي يحاولوا يجيبوا دول أخرى. اليوم فيه دول عظمى موجودة في ليبيا. الشيء اللي وصلنا ليه بكل نزاهة وبكل أخوة وماناش طامعين في فلس الثروة الليبية، بالعكس هو أنهم يتفاهموا في بعضهم بعض. اليوم الحل أصبح مقبول. احنا اقترحناه من برلين من اللقاء الأول باش يكونوا فيه انتخابات اللي تفرزها الانتخابات مرحبا به.
And on Tunisia, the president denounces attempt to sow division, affirming that Algeria and Tunisia share inseparable security interests. He recalls that the Algerian army has never crossed the Tunisian border. Let's hear it.
تونس عندها مشاكل اقتصادية صح؟ يحوسوا ينفردوا بها، يعني جوارها مع الجزائر مقلقهم. صبحت صعبة الافتراس، وظانين لما يعزلوها على الجزائر يفترسوها بسهولة. غالطين بزاف، لأن ما يعرفوش تونس. اللي يعرف تونس هذا قاع تحليل خاطئ. الشيء اللي نعرفوا فيها أن فيها روح وطنية قوية جدا وكل توانسة. ثانيا عندهم تجربة في التفرقة وفي غير التفرقة عندهم كذلك روح قومية انتمائهم. يحاولوا يعني يوصلون المحال مع قيادة تونس. لكن دولة تحترم القيادة تاع تونس بما فيها وما عليها هي الجزائر.
Moving to Tunisia, the government extends the state of emergency for one additional month until January 13th. The decision comes amid the calls by labor unions for regional and sectoral strikes, including a general strike planned for January 21st. In Libya, political tensions persist as House Speaker Akila Saleh faces accusations of monopolizing legislative authority and undermining national unity. Observers say he may face a growing opposition from political institutions and members of parliament. Libyan political analyst Brahim Bilgassem comments, speaking to Fuzi Murad. Let's hear what he has to say.
The House of Representatives is working to eliminate anybody that could potentially undermine its work, either as an existing institution or as a political party. The Libyan problem of the legitimacy crisis originated from a judgment by the Supreme Court through its constitutional chamber, which did not recognize the House of Representative elections in 2014. Now, Akila Saleh, the Speaker of the House of Representatives, wants to bypass the legal and constitutional foundations, as well as the political agreement, through a unilateral multilateral approach, I believe that the partners in the political process, such as the State Council and other parties, will reject this step taken by Akila Saleh. It will also be rejected by members within the House of Representatives who oppose this measure directly.
Turning to election watch across Africa, in Guinea-Conakry, General Mamadi Doumbouya is elected president according to provisional results, securing 86.72% of the vote in Sunday's presidential election. In Guinea-Bissau, the electoral process remains stalled after military factions halt elections on November 26. Opposition figures call for the release of political prisoners and the return to the electoral calendar. Bernardo Carvalho of the PAIGC party speaks out to our Africa FM.
We demand two things: the release of political prisoners. Second, the proclamation of the presidential election results and the installation of the elected president. Simiao Pereira must be freed and the elected president, Fernando Diaz, must be installed. The ball is now in the ECOWAS court. There must be concert action. We have no problems with the military. However, their place in the barracks. Today, nothing is changing. They are still in power, but I give them some advice. They should return to their barracks. The elections were conducted normally, freely and transparently. Therefore, the military must hand power back to the civilians.
In the Central African Republic, the African Union praises a calm and civic atmosphere during the general elections held on December 28th. The AU urges candidates to pursue legal channels for any electoral disputes. In Congo, Brazzaville, President Denis Sassou Nguesso, aged 82, is officially designated as his party's candidate for the presidential election scheduled for March. In the Horn of Africa, Somali President Hassan Sheikh Mahmoud accuses the Zionist entity of seeking strategic influence in the region, claiming plans include controlling maritime routes and resettling Palestinians in the separatist Somaliland region, alongside establishing a military base there. Turning to the economy front, Zambia and Zimbabwe agreed to each contribute $220 million towards the Batoka Gorge hydrocarbon project. The $4.2 billion plant aims to boost electricity supply for both countries. More detail on this topic with Yasmin Ben Ashur.
An agreement is now reached between Zambia and Zimbabwe to fund the delayed Batoka Gorge hydropower project. Each country will contribute $220 million to the $4.2 billion power plant, which will supply electricity to both nations. The Zambezi River Authority says the two governments are also looking for quality partners to improve the project's financing. The dam will be built at the Zambezi River near Victoria Falls, a UNESCO World Heritage Site. The ministers agreed to set up a committee to raise funds for public infrastructure linked to the project. Both countries faced serious power cuts last year after drought reduced power generation at the Kariba Dam, and the project was delayed because of funding problems it previously faced at the COVID-19 pandemic.
Health updates on Africa. Madagascar confirms 5 cases of Mpox in Mahajanga, marking the disease's return since 2022. Health authorities call for calm, noting that containment measures are in place and the transmission occurs mainly through close contact. Concluding this harvest with the sport news, especially the AFCON 2025, already qualified for the round 16. Algeria plays its final group match this Wednesday against Equatorial Guinea at 5 p.m. today in Rabat. Coach Vladimir Bitkovic is expected to rotate the squad as the Phoenix aim to maintain momentum ahead of their next clash with DRC. Other AFCON group matches are also scheduled today across host venues. That was all for today's harvest, and it was directed by Muad, Bab Ahmed, control board by Youssef, streaming by Riyadh, and observer by Tawis. Thank you all for listening until the very end with Africa FM, the voice of Africa. you.